Oh my god, she's a weirdo.
Hello, 'tis I, Fat Cow. Obviously I took the weekend off, and the next 2 days I've got so much stuff to catch up on, because obviously a week tomorrow I would have had my gallbladder removed, and then there was a 2 weeks prior to that I was on that ridiculous liver shrinkage diet of 800 calories, so I wasn't particularly, efficient then. I'm gotten to the point that I can move around normally. I wouldn't say it's necessarily pain-free in the tummy area, but I'm quite good at ignoring pain. I know I shouldn't, but life goes on. So, bear with me, you lot, because this is going to be a long video, because Foodie did multiple lives, even though from what I can gather most of it didn't actually contain anything of any interest. I still have to watch the bloody thing. Anyway, so I'm going to sit here. I have got my cup of tea. I'm all ready. Now, this isn't any ordinary cup of tea. No. This is Royal Shea Premium Instant Tea Masala Shea. This stuff, which I get from Tesco's. You also can get from Asda, and you can get from Amazon, but it's twice as expensive. Now, if this isn't the personification, if you can apply that to tea, of a winter drink, I don't know what is. Aldi doesn't do this, but Aldi does do Spice Shea Latte like this, which is equally as good. You just got to portion it yourself. This stuff is fantastic. It contains tea, ovs, some whitener, obviously, and cinnamon, cardamom, ginger, black pepper, and cloves. And it's just fantastic. But as usual, I digress. So, let's watch this bloody video.
Oh, hi there. Well,
Right from the onset, this is the day after Amber got demonetised for her channel. As I say repeatedly, in my opinion, though I am 100% convinced of this, and you cannot persuade me otherwise, Foodie has oppositional defiant disorder, which is personality disorder, which manifests as a rebellion against authority, not liking being told what to do. So this whole performance is Foodie's oppositional defiance disorder on full display. It's basically the equivalent to YouTube as her telling her viewers to do your worst. Now, she's circumnavigating this by using certain languages, like I'm not going to eat the whole thing, it's a regular meal, etc., etc. But it is what it is. It's a very unhealthy individual eating a very unhealthy amount of food. Now, it was struck and demonetised temporarily, but she appealed it and it came back on. And Foodie is very smug about that, and she sees this as her channel not going to be penalised for its content in the same way that Amber's channel was penalised for its content. I will get back to this in a little bit.
I'm a little peeved off. My pizza has no toppings. Literally no toppings.
this live and the subsequent lives, the bags under her eyes are horrific. Now, I don't know if it's because she's using less filters or it's gotten to the stage even the filters are like, I can't help you there, love. But the bags under the eyes, Foodie is swollen. Another thing I want to point out is the fact that Foodie, who was so desperately depressed last week, suddenly isn't nearly as obviously depressed as she was. It switched off. And in my personal experience, that's not quite how depression works. For me, it's more of a gradual getting out of the whole thing, not a wake up one morning and ta-da, I'm all better. Now, she's going to say she's still depressed, but she's not acting in the same way she acted previously. I just wanted, to put that observation out there.
I ordered from Pizza. The whole reason I wanted their pizza was the garlic dip, and I forgot to order garlic dip.
I'm now going to skip the food bit because the food bit isn't, prudent to show on your channel.
I sincerely hope they demonetize all of her lychee obsessed reaction channels.
Now, here's the thing about YouTube and YouTube's new policies. This demonetization of a certain type of content that is in its own way depicting personalized damage. Let's call it that. If the same content is depicted but has a commentary over it talking against the behaviour, it falls under a different umbrella in terms of categories because it's not promoting personal damage, it's denouncing personal damage. Now, Foodie's also going to say, well, what about all the mukbangers, the Korean ones, the skinny ones, the whatever? Because this isn't just targeting mukbangers, it's only targeting fat ones, which is fat-phobic of YouTube. The thing about behaviours that promote or display personal damage is the impact is exaggerated, elevated, whatever the bloody word is, if the person doing it is obviously an individual who does this particular self-damage frequently. 2 is an individual whose habit of inflicting this self-damage on themselves, obviously suffering as a consequence. And as this particular brand of self-damage involves the consumption of huge amounts of calories, a bigger person would be more suggestive of the damage of this self-inflicted behaviour. If other mukbangers who are slim do this particular thing but otherwise portray a really healthy lifestyle to balance it out, it's not under the same considerations. I hope some of that made sense.
Since this woman's been on YouTube, she's been bullied. And
granted, yeah, you got a point. But YouTube isn't bullying Amber. They demonetized her because of her content. They should have demonetized her years ago because of the false SA allegations, the animal mistreatment, the flagrant lying about things. It just so happens the one thing that gets Anne Boleyn re-demonetised is the one thing the majority of girl world don't actually care about, and that's her food and her weight. Which is ironic, really, but hey. Your argument, Foodie, though, is it was us who got her demonetised. No. It was the algorithm that got her demonetised. The things she puts in her hashtags, the words she spoke. A bot is going through everybody's videos, and if certain words come up repetitively, it gets demonetised. If a title comes up repetitively, it gets demonetised. It's looking for words like mukbang, eat with me, things that rhyme with minge. I couldn't think of another word. That's awful. You know, that sort of thing. Cremenia. Turging. Feting. Reorders. It's looking for the algorithm. The bots are bullying Amber as far as you're concerned. It's got nothing to do with actual girl world and what we reported her for. We reported her for so much shit, much as people have reported you for so much shit. And at the end of the day, your Achilles heel, the thing that's going to screw you over, is your eating habits and the fact you put them online.
I don't care whatever you say she did, whatever you think she did, whatever.
She does care, according to her body language, not because of Amber, but because the same things or similar things applied to her.
Or whatever. I'm sorry, but I don't think warrants that much abuse, online abuse.
Demonetisation is not abuse from any individual person. It is literally AI and bots. Anne Boleyn is the victim of the robot revolution. This is the first step towards Terminator. It starts with targeting overweight people who eat a lot. Go figure.
And YouTube has allowed channels to just use 100% of her content for years, and then they're going to demonetize her. And
back to my previous point, when you upload it, you are glorifying a certain behaviour. When people comment on the same behaviour, they're usually denouncing or criticising the behaviour, which changes the narrative of their content completely, or almost completely. It depends to what degree they do it. For example, one of my favourite commentators, Sansa Cooks, her coverage of all of your eating habits would not be demonetised and will not be demonetised and should not be demonetised because she is looking at it through the lens of how damaging it is. And her content is educational. Still your content she's covering though, but she is portraying it in a way that's not good or normal. Do you understand it yet, Foodie?
not them too, you know what I mean? Like, that is really crazy. I think YouTube should change their policy about eating disorders too. You cannot talk about them at all. Like, they might allow exceptions.
You can talk about them, but you can talk about them educationally, whereas you talk about them as an excuse for your behaviour. You justify your gluttony by talking about your reorders. You're not educating somebody. You're not necessarily sharing your story so that other people can sympathise. You somewhat trivialise it, I would argue.
And they do say that, for educational purposes, from, maybe from
And I'd like to add that there's not a single thing, a single piece of media that either Amber Lynn Reid or Foodie Beauty has ever produced that would fall under the umbrella of educational.
documentary companies or news outlets or whatever. But if you want to make a channel talking about your struggles with one, I wouldn't do it. But I'm not sure why they've, demonetized her entire channel, just remove the videos that are problematic.
There are a lot of videos that are problematic. She did know that YouTube didn't want this stuff, and she's made no effort to rectify it by removing the offensive content, and that is why she's been punished. You have made some sort of effort to remove some content, but you haven't been stringent enough as to what would warrant demonetization. I would say every time you sit down and eat anything that is beyond what would be considered a reasonable amount of food, you should remove it. And by reasonable, I mean it follows serving suggestions. For example, the average large pizza is meant to serve 8 people. If you eat half of it, you've eaten 4 people's worth. And I would argue that doesn't exactly promote healthy habits.
I have no idea. I'm sure she'll appeal it, but we'll see what happens.
Absolutely nothing will happen. They are not going to change their minds. And in 3 months' time, if she hasn't gotten rid of all material that falls under this umbrella and started producing content that deviates away from this type of material, she will continue to be demonetized for an additional 3 months. She has to change the direction of her channel. Food must no longer appear on her channel. It's as simple as that.
I have my sweater on. It's getting very wintry out.
Gosh, it's almost like it's almost November.
I don't know if YouTube is like demonetizing all mukbangs or just video.
Again, no, for the reasons I stated previously. And it's not fat phobic. The same way that portraying a reduced diet will not have the same repercussions unless the person very obviously is doing it in a very flagrantly unhealthy way. Eugenia Cooney, for example. If somebody ate a reasonable amount of food but then showed themselves going to the bathroom to eliminate said food, that would get demonetized also. It's not just about the food, it's not just about the quantities of food. If somebody came on and pretended to eat something, again, Eugenia Cooney, and were obviously starving, that would happen too. It all is also based on the person presenting the content, and somebody who is obviously unhealthy because of their weight on either end of the scale is going to get demonetized.
I was talking about ED and stuff. Whatever the case, I guess we'll find out. Eating unto itself is a human act.
I think it goes beyond just being humans that eat. I'm pretty sure I feed my cats, which means they eat. That's a really bleh thing to say. Now you're going to say, as a prediction habit, eating prediction, you know what I'm trying to say. This is ridiculous. Is difficult to overcome because as a living thing, a carbon-based living thing, we have to eat. In the have to eat bracket, though, there's nowhere in science and medicine that says we have to eat complete and utter crap, though. Nowhere says that. Not one piece of literature says that in order to survive, we have to eat a hamburger. In order to survive, we have to eat a nashi. No. Not one piece of literature on the whole entire planet. So while you have to eat, you don't have to eat fast food. You don't have to eat junk. You don't have to eat candy. In fact, all the literature suggests you don't. So that argument, you know, is kind of not really an argument. You're justifying it to yourself. It's a false equivalency, I think the phrase is. Haven't used that phrase for a while, but anyway, let's continue.
No matter how big you are, no matter what you have to eat. I don't think that.
And you don't have to eat. You just have to have the right amount of nutrients. And you said yourself about that guy who went a year without eating to lose weight. He did it under medical supervision, and he drank drinks that were properly formulated, that had the right nutritional balance. And he survived off his fat reserves, plus these vitamin mineral drink things. And that was it. So no, in some regards, according to Dr. Now on My £600 Life, who has just announced his retirement from My £600 Life. So thank you for your service, Dr. Now. You could easily go 3 weeks without eating food at all before you started suffering physical effects that were detrimental to your health. Obviously, your mental health would fall to pieces within an hour, but that's not the same thing.
You know, just recording yourself eating a normal meal isn't.
You don't eat normal meals, though, do you? That's the issue. That's not a normal meal. I haven't eaten a pizza since at least 2020. The last time I had fried chicken was in 2022. For a meal, I'll have a tin of soup and some yogurt. That is not a normal meal. It's not even close. That's a family meal. You're eating a family meal. You might weigh the same as a family, but you're not a family. You're one person.
big deal. But I can understand their logic with cracking down on people doing dangerous eating.
She doesn't believe that for a second. She doesn't understand. She's a narcissist. She doesn't think she does anything wrong. She also doesn't think that it will actually happen to her. Not completely. She's worried about it, but she really legitimately doesn't think this demonetization thing is going to happen.
Challenges.
If she did believe it, she wouldn't be doing what she's doing, which is the last 3 days eating not regular size meals online.
There's people who have tore their stomachs up doing that kind of stuff, so I can understand that kind of dangerous.
You're not one of them because you've stretched your stomach so much. It could literally, now from what I remember on all the things I've seen of my 600-pound life, there was one individual whose stomach was 7 times larger than average. So he had made room for his food. He'd stretched his stomach so much. Also explained why he couldn't feel satiated or full, because his stomach was so voluminous. Your stomach has got to be at least 5 times the average size, at least.
Self-harm kind of policy. But eating a normal meal, a few pieces of...
Once again, for that individual in the back with her 2 brain cells, you never eat a normal sized meal. Not once have I seen you eat a normal sized meal.
Pizza. And I know you're going to say, well, fat people should only eat salads. YouTube can't make that determination.
Who said that? Go on, find the clip of one person, just one person, saying fat people should only eat salads online. Find one person who said that. I will modify that statement. Find one person who isn't a complete dick who said that online.
Come on now. Anyway, I guess that's all I'm going to eat for now.
Bullshit. You are just being cautious. And that's it. Now, I'm going to skip the rest of this because it's just food talk. And
Didn't start a job hunt yet.
because you're not going to. You're not going to. And talking of job hunts, really, a courtroom, whatever they're called, the people that type up court things, for a start, it's not an ordinary typewriter. It's a very particular typewriter that takes years of training. 2, you have to sit there during the entire trial. And you can't do that, Amber, because you can't sit up in a little chair for that long, upright working. You really legitimately think, okay, the typewriter thing that's used in a courtroom uses a very similar method than writing shorthand. Do you know shorthand, Amber? Do you have 2 or 3 years to learn this process before you start actually legitimately earning money? There used to be a time where you could be hired to type up things for other people, like from dictation. But AI can do that now. There's speech to text. You could do data entry, but that's beneath you, isn't it, Amber? And that also requires you putting in a specific number of hours a day, which you cannot do. apart from fetish modelling, Eda content and only flamingos, there is actually no, there is. You can be a squasher. You can do squishing. There's a few individuals who will pay to be sat on by larger persons. Basically, what I'm saying is your opportunities, Amber, for work are extremely narrow and you're not nearly as competent as you think you are. You've also got to bear in mind that you've got one legitimate work experience, which didn't even last a year, and nothing else on your CV at all apart from your YouTube career, which they will look into when you apply for jobs. And what they're going to see is not something that would encourage them to employ you. The same goes to Foodie, with the exception of she has actually had actual jobs that have lasted a period of time. But again, I've just got to Google her.
What are you doing, baby girl? What are you doing? You know those Dollar Tree toys we got her? She loves them. Henrietta. I don't know. I'm trying out names. No, I'm still trying names. Bianca. Oh, no, I used to know a Bianca. I hated her. Oops, that's not nice to say. She was not nice. Yeah, so I'm just now beezing because I was thinking of calling her my grandma's name, Audrey, but I don't know.
I'm going to go to the next one because I just am. Oh, right, yuck.
Well, hello, guys. Hello.
Broccoli is not meant to be that colour. She's boiled the ever-loving shit out of it and thrown all the nutrients away with the water.
Welcome back to another video. Today I have a homemade meatloaf dinner. So yes, we're going to have dinner together.
And she really stresses that to the camera so it doesn't get demonetised. It's a homemade meatloaf dinner. Let's ignore the fact there's a huge amount of it, though. What am I doing?
Nothing more, nothing less. We are just eating, which is not a crime.
You see what words she's using, what language she's using. The thing is, Foodie, while you're trying to be clever with the language you use and circumnavigate this whole demonetisation thing, it's not peer reviewed unless you appeal. A bot is going to go through this to decide whether it's allowed to be up or not. So unless you speak bot, you will be caught.
Let's dig in. Bismillah Beauty Bite. We have some buttered, salted, steamed broccoli. Mashed potato. I have so much broccoli. And meatloaf. Oops, with cheese on top.
That behaviour, though, Foodie, that face, that can get you demonetised.
I love meatloaf. And of course, gotta have a dill pickle on the side, huh? It's like one of those laptop holder things. Good Yukon Gold mashed potatoes, some 3% milk and salt. So guys, I thought today I would talk about the hijab because people are confused. I get it.
Only people who legitimately support you are confused. Everybody else sees through the bullshit.
So am I sometimes. There are a lot of Muslims who do not wear hijab, okay?
True. There are a lot of Muslims who don't wear the hijab. Now I'm going to preempt something she says. Because she says there are some Muslims that believe Allah ordained it. Technically, no. As I've said before, there are certain requirements you have to fulfill in order to be a Muslim, a legitimate, as in you're doing it properly. The first requirement is following the word of God, which is basically whatever's stated in the Quran. Nowhere in the Quran it says you have to be veiled. So I'm not being flippant, but level 1 Muslim, which means everybody has to follow the Quran. Nowhere in the Quran it says you have to cover your hair. It does say you have to conceal your bosom, though, and you have to be modest. So it's a kind of open to interpretation, but there is no mention of covering your hair. But level 1, everybody has to do it, follow the Quran. Above that, people who are more pious and more strict follow the word of the Prophet Muhammad in addition to the Quran. Now this is where the belief that you have to be veiled comes from, because people who follow the word of the Prophet Muhammad, you're meant to follow his word and his behaviours, what he did. And what he did was expect his wives to be completely covered, including their hair. So people who follow the word of the Prophet Muhammad in addition to the Quran, because the Prophet Muhammad's wives were veiled, believe women should also be veiled. So that is where this whole hijab discussion comes from. It's not ordained by Allah. It's not mentioned in the Quran, which is the word of God. It was something the Prophet Muhammad did. And the Prophet Muhammad is not a god, not seen as God, not considered a son of God. He was just a man who happened to be the last prophet. If you're a Muslim who believes that Muhammad was the last prophet, because there are two fractions, Sunni and Shia, who one believed that Muhammad was the last prophet and one believed that Muhammad's son Ali was the last prophet. So that is where they differentiate. Neither of these individuals was considered a god or the son of God, however. They were just men. I hope that made sense.
There are Muslims who do.
I also find it a bit disrespectful to talk about religion while eating. I think when you're talking about religion, when you're discussing a serious topic such as religion, if you respect the religion, you should give it your full attention. Don't do it between mouthfuls.
There are Muslims who believe it was ordained by Allah
No.
to wear the hijab. And there's some who believe that it's not mandatory.
Because they don't follow the words of the Prophet Muhammad, they adhere to what everybody has to do, and that's follow the Quran.
And it's more of a cultural thing.
It depends what fraction you belong to and how involved in the religion you are. It's not necessarily directly cultural. Obviously, there are certain areas in Muslim countries that are more religious based than others in terms of the law. So it's not the culture itself that expects all women to be covered, it's the law. It's a legal requirement therefore it's not voluntary. It's the law of the country, not necessarily the culture of the country, because you just got to look at Iran in the 70s before they got taken over by the people they got taken over by. There were a significant amount of women who weren't veiled. They had to become veiled because of the law. That's not cultural. That's dictatorial.
Your beliefs are personal. When I came back to Canada, I felt a pressure to remove the hijab and
I think what she is trying to insinuate was that the pressure came from her fans to be free and live her life as authentically as possible and go back to the foodie they knew and loved. She is literally telling her beezers it was their fault she unveiled so quickly, and nothing to do with her indecision whatsoever.
like, I shouldn't let myself be pressured like that.
You don't let yourself be pressured like that. You do, and you will always do what you fucking want to do. And it doesn't matter what anybody says to you. You don't listen to other people at all. And that face is so insincere. How insulting it is to be a supporter and for her to turn around and say it was your fucking fault I unveiled, when it was you who did what you wanted to happily, and it's only because of Salar's reaction you changed your mind.
That's just stupid. But I did. I reverted 3 years ago. And
So what? Literally, so what?
Well, I know
You didn't believe it then, you don't believe it now. It's obvious you don't believe it, and haven't believed it or didn't believe it. You might have tried a little bit, but surface level at best. It's performative, and it is literally for a man. Literally for a man. Or your convenience.
I've never denounced Islam since.
Right, I will be back. I had to look something up because I wanted to be absolutely sure about the terminology. Yes, you fucking did. And you've done that within the last month by announcing that you were at best agnostic. Agnostic is someone who holds that the existence of a supreme being is either unknown or unknowable. So a faith you claim to follow where the basic tenets is that you believe there is only one God and his name is Allah, and that the Prophet Muhammad is his one and only prophet. That is basically, in a nutshell, what you have to say to announce your faith. One God. You have to acknowledge the existence of one God. And you, by saying you're agnostic, is suggesting, by the very definition of being agnostic, that you are unknown, can neither determine for sure either way whether a supreme being exists. By saying you're agnostic, you have denounced Islam. Within the last month, you have denounced Islam. You said it. It's all over the fucking internet. In the last month, by saying you were at best agnostic.
Then, since taking my Shahada, when I came to Canada, I became a bit agnostic.
You can't be a bit agnostic. I sort of believe in God is completely against believing there is only one God and his name is Allah. You're a fucking idiot. You are so fucking up your own arse. Oh my God, you're insufferable.
I have been wearing the hijab for 3 years.
So fucking what? I've been wearing black since I was 16. It doesn't make me a Satanist. I'm not a Satanist. And by the way, Satanism isn't actually quite what, the media perceives. I'm not... Let's just say it's not quite as, stabby as people are led to believe. It's got a lot more to do with nature than you think.
It honestly just feels weird without it.
Because it shows all the things you've been hiding for the last 3 years. I would feel the same if suddenly I decided to go online naked. It's pretty much the same thing. Or, okay, let's dial it back a bit. If I started appearing braless. Yeah, I wouldn't be too happy if the whole internet saw where my boobs naturally reside as opposed to where they artificially reside when supported with my over-the-shoulder boulder holders. It's exactly the same thing. I'm wearing something that hides a natural state of something I have. Your veil covers your hair, lack thereof, and your chin, and exposing it to the world made you feel vulnerable.
I feel like hijab is a personal choice. It's a choice. You're not obligated to explain to anyone.
And yet, you are. Because people aren't agreeing with you. You could have easily just said nothing. What a novel concept.
Your religious beliefs, any of that. I find there's a lot of judgment among other Muslims. I'm like...
Because you're making a mockery of their beliefs.
Especially among reverts.
As a former revert, allow me to speak on their behalf. As an individual who reverts, you understand what is needed and expected from you. And as your faith is a personal choice of yours, you have a tendency to make a bit of an effort. If you're a faith by birth, it's second nature, and you're not necessarily as strict about the rules, not necessarily, because it's just your life. But if you choose to follow a faith, you have a tendency to be a bit stricter on yourself because it was your personal decision. It was a decision that you gave a lot of thought to, and if you do it properly, you tend to study it, and therefore reverts, Foodie, would be more critical of your revert status because you've done none of that. And the reason you've done none of that is because it wasn't a personal choice in terms of following the religion. You did it because a man wanted you to.
God would not want you to judge others, okay? Period.
Then you should stop judging them for judging you, 1. And 2, God does encourage others to encourage them to practice their faith a bit more diligently. Pointing out when somebody is doing something wrong is encouraged.
But especially others just like trying to find their way, their own journey.
You're not... If you were legitimately trying to find your way, you will find the response would be entirely different. But we know you're not trying to find your way. You're just trying to maintain Salah's interest.
I enjoyed making this meal for myself. The only thing missing is gravy on the mashed potatoes. I didn't have any gravy.
Anyway, I'm going to go to the last live because, as I said, oops, I didn't want to do that. Where was I? Okay. As I said, I ain't got no time for this shit. Here we go. I'll be up to date after this one. Until later today. Foodie says she's very tired. Foodie's face, particularly Foodie's eyes, suggest that Foodie is somewhat compromised medicinally, let's say.
Doing okay. Tired a bit. Whew.
She always preempts comments about you're stoned or you're obviously stoned by saying I'm tired before anybody else can ask her if she's tired or jet lagged.
My shirt's cute, thank you.
Everybody's been saying this. Everybody. But for somebody who says she doesn't celebrate Christmas, wearing a Christmas jumper and having a Christmas flashy cushion behind her, somewhat of a contradiction. Also, if you accept gifts from your family and partake in Christmas dinner, it's also a bit of a contradiction. You not celebrating Christmas is you not buying gifts for your family, isn't it, Foodie? You cheapskate.
I look tired, I know. I am. I'm not gonna lie. No, they're gonna name her something stupid. You know? What did you name the meatloaf? Black Friday? I just call her baby right now. Why force it, you know? Yeah, I gotta do the postcard.
I think Foodie intends to return to Syria the last week of December, once the festivities have finished, roughly around the 28th, which is the date she's returned to the Middle East before, and therefore has no intention of naming the cat. And also it's wonderfully convenient if she legitimately plans to try and return to Syria in the last week of December, that she's claiming she can't get the cat neutered, vaccinated and checked out until January. Whether Salah cooperates in her returning is another matter. She might just literally turn up on whatever the equivalent of a doorstep is to an actual border of a particular country.
I'm not sure if I want to auction it or maybe just...
Auctions are for charities, not for individuals such as yourself. You should not auction that tat for your pocket. You should either do it for a charity and do it properly for a charity, transparently, or you give it away to one of your loyal fucking beezers. Do something for somebody else for once in your fucking life, Foodie. And my God, those eyeballs are the eyeballs of somebody who is completely and utterly annihilated their ability to think coherently, artificially.
give it away. I feel tired. What did I do today? Nothing, real. Honestly, like nothing. Tidied up the kitchen a bit. Haven't been anywhere today. It's like not nice out. Plus I woke up really late. I feel like the best time...
Oh no, the weather's too bad to do anything. Darn it. Weather was pretty bad yesterday as well where I am. Did I do anything? Oh yeah. I went out and fed some wild animals that I feed regularly. And I didn't, use the weather as an excuse not to do it. Just saying.
For going out in the winter? I don't know.
It's too hot to go out. It's too cold to go out. It's too early in the day to go out. It's too late in the day to go out. There's crackheads outside and I don't want to go out. I want to talk to you guys on live, so I don't want to go out. You are in your happy place again. Less depressed than you pretended to be last week, mind you. And you just want to do what you always do everywhere you go, no matter where in the world it is. And that's lie down on a sofa, get stoned and eat. To Foodie's supporters, is this really enough for you? Is this really the best you hope for and expect from your patron saint of beezing? Is this making you feel appreciated and loved and respected? Because I'd argue, in a weird way, this is a bit of a mistreatment relationship you have for your high leader. Well, she is. Foodie does not give a shit about you. She will never go out to provide you better content, and she's not going to give you that stupid wooden postcard and that stupid maple leaf sucker if she hasn't eaten it already. You very, very, very much are settling for the absolute bare minimum here, guys.
I don't think I'm going to upload a video today. Holiday gnomes, yeah. Hi.
Oh, she's so pretty.
Sweet baby. No, not wheelchair beezing.
Oh my God, her eyes are so glassy. Really? I was going to say it's cat allergies, by the way. But there's no sneezing, no red nose, no watering eyes, no drippy nose. None of that stuff you expect from a cat allergy.
I woke up late. 12:30. Because I kept getting up in the night because she was bouncing off the walls and knocking things over.
Because she's understimulated. Because you don't do anything with her.
Is there a gnome? It's like Christmas gnomes. I don't know. It was clean, so. Mochi? Tired of cat names, man. I feel like you're not happy today. It's not that I'm not happy.
It's because I'm completely inebriated in the cannabis department. I'm feeling no pain at all.
It's just that I'm just like, blah. I'm just tired. Nope. I haven't been out. Hibernation bees. Well, because, like, it's winter anyways. Let's go for a walk.
So I expect nothing until March, guys.
My leg is itchy. I ordered a poutine, but I think I'm gonna try some genuine poutine.
And with this, I end here because I doubt it gets any better. So, I made an announcement today that all my merch on my store, if it's Girl World related, it's been reduced because I want it gone, or I'll try and recycle it. Because apart from the one individual that I have promised a Foodie Beauty doll to, I will no longer be making Girl World merch. Now, it's fair enough to assume it's because of what's been going on in terms of demonetisation, but that's not actually the reason. I've removed some content additionally, and none of it has anything to do with the reasons people have been demonetised. The reasons I have removed the content I've removed, and the reasons I'm no longer going to make Girl World merch, is I don't want to make a mockery of somebody's physicality in any of these individuals. As you have probably been quite aware, my luck, particularly health-wise, has been shockingly bad this year. However, I have noticed that since I stopped making Girl World merch and started going more towards my anatomically incorrect animals and monsters type merch, things have improved significantly. Now, as you all also probably aware, I am of the pagan persuasion, and I believe in listening to what life is trying to tell you. And a lot of you are going to consider this just a coincidence that things have improved since I've stopped making Girl World merch. But I'm interpreting it as an indication that I'm going in a better direction for myself and my family. And therefore I'm no longer going to be an individual who mocks people's physicalities in that way. You know, no songs about being large, no merch about being large or unattractive or what have you. That doesn't mean I'm not going to continue commenting on these individuals though, because I believe, or I hope, at the very least I hope, that what I provide is more educational, still humorous, but is less mocking and more pointing out discrepancies and lies, which doesn't involve mockery per se. I'm comfortable with doing commentary because I don't think I'm necessarily mean-spirited. Now, the thing about the merch is I did get a kick out of it, and it was not necessarily done in good faith. There was a part of me that was quite tickled about the reaction it would get from an individual, and now I'm not doing it. Things are better for me as an individual. life is being kinder to me, and I'm taking that as an indication that I probably was going in a direction I should have rethought, and a direction that wasn't necessarily quite as in character, or the character I want to have, let's say. So I'm getting rid of what's left. If it doesn't go, fine, I will recycle it in some way. The white t-shirts I'll have to dye to get rid of everything on them and such, but still. And I will just go forward in the direction I have been going forward in. And I thank you guys in advance for your support of this matter. Anyway, again, I digress. So, I'm currently up to date as of this minute, as far as I'm aware, because I haven't checked. So it's 10:07 a.m. in England. As far as I know, I'm up to date with Foodie Beauty, unless something's popped up while I've been doing this. So normal programming will resume shortly.